In this class, we want to talk about the business plan. Now, there are several videos on the business plan available on the course, and it's advisable to see and look over and study each of those. Each one will emphasize a different part of the plan, and we'll go into slightly more detail in some areas than in others. So to get a more comprehensive picture, try to see all the videos on the topic. In this one, we say the business plan in detail. Well, in fact, we're just going to look at the business plan in the context of the content and structure of the business plan. So it's the content and structure which will be the emphasis of this video. Now, on the bottom of this slide, I have set out 6 areas to look at, and I want to talk about the content of these 6 areas. These 6 areas will appear in the business plan. Introduction, description of the business, the product or service and the market, and so on. In fact, we could have more than 6. We could have perhaps innovation and research and development as another topic, so we make it 7. We could have logistics as one. We could have more about finance, and we could have a section on HRM. So the business plan can be made up from various sections. What it does is it describes how the business will undertake its activities, and to that end the business plan is a working document. It's what drives the business. It sets out the roadmap. It's the roadmap for the business. It indicates where the business is going and what issues it may confront and how it will deal with those issues should they arise. But for our purposes here, I'm just going to look at 6, these 6 here. I'm going to start, oddly enough, with the introduction. Now, the introduction should accurately state the nature of the business. It's important that the reader of the business plan knows exactly the nature of the business, and it should come at the earliest opportunity. In other words, it should appear in the introduction. What is the business? What's the product, or what is the service? What does the business do? Where is it located? What markets does it sell to? Give some overview of the business, what it does, where it is, who makes up the business, some perhaps brief history of the business as well. You should also state the purpose of the plan if it's being used to raise external finance and the amount it wishes to raise. I said earlier that the business plan is really a working document. It can be used by management to help them or guide them in managing the business, because a lot of the problems that they may face may have been anticipated and solutions found even before the business was set up or opened, when at the time they were working on the business plan. So management find it useful. But business plans are also used for specific purposes. For example, trying to raise a bank loan. So in this case, the purpose of the business plan in this case should be stated in the introduction. In other words, this particular business plan is aimed at the banks, and it gives a reason why the resources are required by the business, and it gives a backdrop to the market size and the growth of the business, and it gives some summary figures about the business, which will appear in more detail later in the plan itself. Now, the second part is a description of the business. Well, it should contain the following points. It should give the background of the business, if it already exists, or the reasons behind the business if it is a new venture, a new business. So sometimes the business may be in existence for a long time, in which case the background of the business is necessary. when it was founded, um, any particular events that need to be highlighted, perhaps a new product or entering a new market or a new piece of technology or whatever it was, a relocation of the business. These big events should be set out, and also the uh, the nature of the business itself. What products does it make, and in a sense the personalities, the relationship with the staff, the relationship between management and staff, the relationship between the management and external agencies, the relationship between the business through the marketing section and the market itself. So if it's an existing business, a full picture should be presented. If it's a new business and the business plan is aimed at raising initial funding for a new business, then it's important that the rationale for the business is clearly explained. What's the niche in the market? What's the unique selling point of the product? In other words, try to assess realistically what is the probability of success. The structure of the business should also be described, including its legal status. So the structure could be in terms of the functional areas of the business. How does production link to marketing, link to accounts, or link to whatever, the stores? So some sort of plan of the business, perhaps even an organizational chart, would help to show where the various parts of the business fit and how they're linked. And also perhaps who was in charge of each part and their suitability to be in charge of those parts. And also look at the legal status of the business. Is it a partnership? Is it a sole proprietor? Or is it a private limited company? And look at the advantages and look at the disadvantages of each, and describe, if it is a legal entity, when did it become a legal entity, and what are the essential points in the article of memorandum and the articles of association. So what is it that needs to be drawn out from those documents? Also, discuss the personnel involved in running the business. This may involve a short outline of their experience and qualifications. It's important that the reader of the business plan has confidence in the people working in the business, that they are qualified, that they are skilled, that they are adept at doing what they do. And if they are, then there will be more confidence in the business. Talk about the capital structure of the business. This should be itemized according to expenditure on plant and machinery, office equipment, and the various other areas of capital expenditure. So in other words, talk about the structure. How much is in machinery? How much is in office equipment? How much is in computer systems? How much? In other words, try to describe the business in terms of where past expenditures have been made in the business, because that will show the priority of the business. It'll show the nature of the business. And if it's a new venture and it's proposed to allocate sums according to particular functions, then justify the sums. Why does the marketing department need that much, and why does the accounts department need that much, and why does the chief executive's office need that much? Try to produce small budgets almost, or indeed produce small budgets and put them into the appendix and reference them from here, reference them from this particular section of the business plan. So there is a picture of the business according to the capital structure of the business. The next is the product or service and the market. Well, the product should be accurately described, and its unique selling point, its USP, its unique selling point must be clearly stated. So what is the product? And what makes the product likely to succeed? What's its unique selling point? What is it about the product that customers will like and which will enable the business to succeed? It's important to describe the unique features of the product and draw comparisons with similar products in the market. It could be that the business is in a competitive situation. It's in a market where there are many items that are similar, perhaps not identical, but similar. But as far as the customer is concerned, they want perhaps a cheap product with good quality, good after sales service, good styling. So the customers want a lot. They want value for money. So what is it about the product of the business that will enable the business to take on the competitors, to compete with them, and to beat them, and at the same time sell enough to generate the profits that it requires to fulfill its corporate goals? A statement about future market trends and likely future market share should also be included. Now, some people say, well, you can't see the future. One famous Austrian economist, Friedrich von Hayek, said, the future is unknowable. We can't know the future. Too many things could happen. Government policy may change, competitors may move on, or there may be some new discovery, some new innovation, some piece of equipment comes on the market. So something can change. So the future is not really predictable. We have a rough idea what's going to happen tomorrow, but what's going to happen in a year's time or in 5 years' time, that's not really possible. But having said that, the culture with business plans is that there should be a statement about estimated sales next year and the year after, and sometimes in business plans they say in the short run, in other words in the next year, in the medium term, say up to 3 years in the future, and in the long term, say up to 5 years in the future. But as I said earlier, it's nigh impossible to have any certainty about what's going to happen in the future. But the culture of business plans and what's expected from people who write business plans is that they can make estimates of what is likely to happen. There are some techniques that have been used to try and get around this problem of ignorance about the future, and we all suffer from that. Some people, when they're writing business plans, they have a pessimistic, a neutral, and an optimistic scenario. So we could talk about the next 3 years, and we can say, well, we could be very pessimistic about what's going to happen in the next 3 years, or we could be very neutral about it. We could be very vague about what's happening, or we could be very optimistic. Of course, we'd need to offer reasons as to why we had that particular psychological stance. Why were we optimistic? Why were we pessimistic? So it is very, very difficult to do, but it is expected. And because it's expected, we shouldn't really fight it. We should simply do it. It's part and parcel of the exercise. Some market research may help, of course. It's worth knowing. Some market research may help in getting a fix on what's likely to happen. But again, as I said, it doesn't remove the big issue. And the big issue is that we can't tell the future. We don't know what's going to happen. But market research may have a pointer. It may not. But it's a tool, and it may be used. Next, the marketing plan. Well, this should state the marketing strategies that will be pursued. It's important to have market strategies. It's important that in advance the marketing team with the senior management have ironed out issues. Will they compete on price or quality or after sales service, and will they use certain outlets and channels rather than others? And so there should be um, clarity in the marketing section about their role and their processes, and it should be written in the business plan. Well, there should be a marketing plan that's a part of the business plan. So the marketing plan fits into the business plan. The plan sets out a course of action to be followed and will include such information as the pricing strategy of the product. It should state what the likely price of the product will be. Of course, it can't say that that will be the price in perpetuity, that will be the price forever. The pricing policy of the business should have some sort of flexibility, allowing for trends in the market, for dips in the market, or for competitors who will not be passive in the face of competition from the company. So there should be some flexibility on pricing. But it should also talk about the type of promotional activity to be undertaken. Should it be so-called below the line? Should it be word of mouth? Or should it be in the press? If it's in the press, where in the press? How should the product be publicized? Again, that should be discussed in the marketing plan, which, as I said, is really a part of the business plan. It's, if you like, a subsection of the business plan. It may appear as a separate document and be appended to the business plan, but it should cover how promotional activity will take place. It should also talk about the distribution channels that will be used to get the product to the market. What distribution channels? Will it be through shops, warehouses, cash and carry, direct selling, mail order? What exactly will the distribution channel be, and why? And what's the advantages of it, and how much will it cost? New markets, for example, overseas, and further product development should also be discussed. The company presumably wishes to grow, and if it wishes to grow, it may have to look at new markets. The new markets may be in other countries or in other regions of the same country, but it may have to look to expand into other areas to try and get growth. But it should also look at research and development and new product development, either variations in the existing product or new products completely. But ideally, the new products should be related to the existing product, because the company has more expertise in that particular market or in that particular segment or part of the market. Next, the production plan. Now, very similar to the marketing plan, the production plan is a separate document, or it could be seen as a separate document, but really it's a subset. It's a part of the business plan. The same as the marketing plan is part of the business plan. A production plan should state how the good is to be produced and should mention such details as where the production will take place. Will any of it be outsourced? Will it be bought in? Will it be components brought in? What will be the buying strategy? Will it be just in time, or will it be bought into stores? And what's the store policy? How much will be held in stores? And so it should describe how the business will operate, where the production will take place. The type of production facility available to the business. It could be that the business doesn't have all of the machines or technical facilities to produce the product, so it may have to outsource part of it. Again, that should be mentioned. Talk about the production facilities that are available and the channels that can be used if there's any shortfall in the provision of productive or production services. Look at component suppliers, if any. So look at the reliability of the suppliers. Look at their reputation and look at their pricing. Look at their location and delivery times. So there should be some analysis of the component suppliers to see if they're suitable to work in or work with this particular business. Look at the skills required by the production personnel, technical skills perhaps, or certain levels of dexterity. What training is required? What facilities need to be made available? What's the machine person interface like? What is the what's the issue if there is failure, if there is breakdown in the machine section? What issue will this have for the personnel in terms of remuneration or even morale? Will they feel that it's happening too frequently and they'll wish to perhaps leave the business and find something more secure? Look at the skills that they've got. Look at their education background. Look at the experience that they have accumulated in working for the business or working for a similar business, and see if these correspond closely to those skills that are required. Now finally, in this video we're going to talk about the financial information about the business. Well, the business plan should be accompanied by the most recent balance sheet and profit and loss account. Now if it's a new venture, those will not be available, but again, estimates should be put forward. Estimates about cash flow, break even, an estimated balance sheet, an estimated profit and loss, just so that the investors have something to work on, and try to make the figures as realistic as possible. Do some research and present it. That's if it's a new business. If it's an existing business, then the most recent balance sheet and profit and loss account should be appended. As I said, for a startup business, realistic estimates of the likely financial position of the business must be provided. They should be realistic, even though, as I said earlier, the person preparing the business plan is almost expected to see the future, which is not possible. But they should make realistic estimates, not sweeping statements about how great the future is going to be. It may be, but no one knows that, so it's not warranted. Perhaps more realistic and even somewhat conservative figures may win the day quicker, may win over the financiers faster. For all business types, the following financial information should be included in the business plan. There should be a projected balance sheet. That's important, even though it is looking into the future, with the caveat that it is not knowable. Realistic estimates should be put forward. What will reasonable sales look like? What will reasonable costs look like? And therefore reasonable profits can be estimated. A cash flow forecast over the next 12 months. Again, looking into the future, but it's not too bad because it's just a 12-month period. Cash flow is important because if there are cash flow problems, in other words, if the company can't pay essential bills, for example salaries, or pay for deliveries of raw materials or components, or if you can't pay for utilities, then the business will close. So it's important that the business has sufficient cash at any one moment to meet its immediate outgoings. And for that reason, a cash flow forecast is important. Budgets for the key areas of expenditure, such as marketing, advertising, capital expenditure, and so on. Budgets for the various parts, including HRM, research and development, transport, logistics. Budgets for all of those departments should be estimated and should be appended, because those will indicate that the management is aware of the likely items of expenditure within the budgets. There are no surprises, therefore, and they should have been accounted for in the budgets. So it shows that the management are on top of the situation. Borrowing plans and loan service arrangements should also be stated in the financial part of the business plan. What loans has the company currently got? What figures does it owe? Does it owe to creditors? What is the financial position of the business? Is it able to serve its loan obligations, or if it takes on new obligations to the banks, let's say, will it be able to service those? What's the probability of default? A break-even analysis and some actual projected ratio analysis where possible. Trying to work out how the business stacks up against other businesses, if the information from other businesses is available. If that information is available, then perhaps you might be able to do ratio analysis just to make comparisons between the two. A break-even is also a good idea because it shows the amount of production, the amount of output that the company must achieve in order to break even. In other words, that is the bare minimum task that the marketing section must achieve. They must aim to sell that amount, because once that is sold, the company is broken even. Sales over and above that figure will generate profits. So in this video we have looked at several different sections. Well, I said 6 we've picked out here, but as I said to you at the start, we could have had many more sections: research and development, HRM, several other sections. Depends on how extensive we want to be, but in a video of this type, 6 is reasonable for this one. There are other videos covering different parts of the business plan. Please check those out as well, as I said right at the very start. But that's all we're going to do in this particular video, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.